Hello everybody, it's System Chalk here with, I believe, the 60th episode of the Apostle Obsonate playthrough as Ike Upscribe, and there seems to have been a lot of stuff that I needed to deal with last broadcast, but of course it's been a little while since I've recorded videos. Let's take a minute to make sure that we are where we need to be. So Dread was causing some problems. I think what I had done here was I preserved this contentment to be able to soak up the second one. So in 24 seconds, this contentment is going to... Oh, you know what? No, they're both 60 seconds. That's fine. So I believe in 24 seconds, this contentment should get absorbed. We'll finish the painting. This contentment will have lasted sort of long enough to keep me going. It's also possible that not only will I make some money, but also get more contentment, because we do have a couple of passion as well as notoriety on this work. No staleness, which is sort of nice. But in any case, this is how we're going to deal with our dread. Now, I don't recall if fascination was on its way. I seem to recall that this fascination was originally going to be how we dealt with the dread. But of course, we have done nothing to sort of help our reputation. We do have a lot of mystique, however, that mystique is going to be expiring before too long. So if I'm lucky, the mystique will keep getting absorbed and the notoriety is going to... the notoriety is going to expire after about 2 minutes, plus however long this one, 263. No, we're going to get hit by the notoriety for sure. But we do have a Callagine to steal the evidence if it gets to that. So we'll prepare for the Suppression Bureau causing us some trouble. We're also probably going to get another notoriety coming out of the expedition. We're currently doing... we're actually trying to hoover up some reputation. Maybe I want to keep trying to generate some more mystique instead while we're dealing with our current problems. We are reading the Burning Woman, and we already did the expedition. And then if we're going through the Stag Door, I wasn't trying to pick up the... If we're going through the Stag Door, it means I wasn't trying to pick up something to deal with the Suppression Bureau, which makes sense. I suspect either I'm looking for additional secret histories or maybe some influence. I don't see why I would want to do anything with the Fascination, but maybe for some additional summons. Or I'm just going through the Stag Door because I can. So as far as what we want to try and do, well, if we can, clearing out Tower Revik and Foxley Meadows, we at least have 2 more locations that are going to give me some books. I want to make sure that, again, we don't get caught by the Suppression Bureau, although we have plenty of options available to us right now. We can try and get rid of the Weary Detective if we feel that the investigation's going too far. We can try and destroy the evidence. We don't really need to worry about the evidence until it gets to level 2, and even then, potentially, all that we lose is a follower. The other more pressing matter, of course, is the matter of funding. I'm running out of money, and we need to, we need to finance these expeditions. So that's it for a summary, I suppose. Let's just run in. I seem to have left myself in a spot where I don't have a lot of options. I suspect I probably made a choice to lock up all of those slots, because I tend not to be the smartest at the very start of a broadcast. All right. Call upon the Laughing Thrush who cannot be exhausted. We are almost certainly strong enough in Moth to secure against the curse. Yeah, 16 should do it. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, so I wasn't paying attention at all to this. I did not need to bring in Cat Caro at all. The Worms of the World, it was Lantern or Moth, and of course the Callagine. The reason I used the Callagines is Lantern. So yeah, we actually had enough in terms of Lantern and Moth, but I'm not going to complain about having to use fewer resources. So it looks like our Charm Offensive picked up a Mystique. It would have been, 34 seconds, so it may not have been one that the Suppression Bureau picked up anyway. And we got some extra fascination, so the Smiths and Adepts give up on finding the Burning Woman and resolve to build their own kingdom, where our strength will be sufficient to shatter the world. And we have a Formula Fissive for it. That is the first that we've gotten of that level of Forge lore. Break a thing and you have fragments. Break those fragments and you have dust. Break the dust and then break what remains. Here is fire. So that, I believe, will... Well, as it says, it gives us King Crucible. So I wasn't really trying to summon King Crucible. There could be some reasons why it would be helpful to have the good King around, but I don't have a pressing need for it right at this moment. So I suppose one worry I might have would be generating too much fascination. In fact, this would be generally, this is true of pretty much any book that I'm going to be reading at this point. Overall, though, I feel reasonably secure in reading a book. So the worst that could happen would be to get a dread. If I get another fascination, the 40 seconds on this one won't be long enough. We're not going to have to worry about a season of visions popping up. And I'm going to get a fleeting reminiscence. Actually, I can already get rid of this with a fleeting reminiscence. We're going to get a fleeting reminiscence when the dread goes by. So I think we're safe to keep reading some more books. Let's read the Known Unknown Tantra. Also, we've read this one before, I believe, so this doesn't seem to be the sort of thing that's going to generate too much difficulty for us. Carlos Garcia Sari, the ecstatic mystic of the Pyrenees, was known to recite this in 3 languages, though he had never visited the subcontinent. The Known Unknown Tantra describes a journey to the white door of the Mansis, beyond which speech ceases. It describes a mantra which can be used at the right place and time to achieve that door. Which, of course, I know I keep highlighting these, but that's a little bit of an indicator in terms of how you might want to approach some of the puzzles in Cultist Simulator. We're almost certainly strong enough. Okay, we're still waiting. Colors of the Night. Let's roll the dice on paints. And the Suppression Bureau. Okay, well, remember I said fascination wasn't going to be a problem? The curse shrivels. Our power is stronger than the power that was here. The curse won't touch us. And man, I am really unlucky today. With a minute and a half to go, the Suppression Bureau, the weary detective is really fed up not being able to spend some time with a cup of tea in the Evening London News and has decided to go straight for the jugular. All right. So, unfortunate. We don't have the Callagines to deal with the evidence. So, for lack of any better options, let's just get Dorothy to talk about what good people we are again. I see the mistakes, but I can also see the end. This is something special. It may provoke a reaction. Alright, so additional contentment. Or actually, this might have been what we were painting with, so I should probably be a little more careful in saying additional contentment. Glimmering, which seems to be a pretty consistent reward for painting. It certainly would make sense. And it's always, again, one of the things that I still really enjoy about Cultist Simulator, although I sometimes feel like I belabor the point. Not that this is a new revelation. Ooh, 4 funds. I'm happy with that. I was originally going to try and drown out the notoriety with Mystique, but I suppose there's really no point in doing that now. So what I was originally going to try and do is a bunch of commissions, but I think probably... Well, I suppose there's 2 ways I can think about that, actually. I can say I just really don't care anymore, and we generate as much notoriety as we can. Huh. It's like my main source of income in the form of the job gets cut off from notoriety. Okay, no, I think I know. This is a little bit more of a thinking round than the other ones. Here's how I think I'm going to approach this. Notoriety puts my otherwise very lucrative job at risk. I'm doing okay painting-wise, it seems. And it seems to me that I've got summons that can deal with any evidence that comes up. So perhaps what I'm going to do, I've actually never, even when painting was stronger than it is now, I've never really did a pure painting run. But I actually think in this case here, it makes a lot of sense for me to keep painting, ignore the notoriety for now. When we reach the end of our expeditions, I'll turn that attention around. Then we clear out the notoriety, which means, I can't paint with it anymore. And once that happens, as I'm sort of rebuilding towards another batch of expeditions, that means that I can start working at Glover and Glover again and I'll have the money to sort of build up for the next few expeditions. Okay, so and in addition to that, I'm actually also going to throw more notoriety in. So I was originally trying to be a little bit more even in the division, to make sure that I didn't have too much notoriety sitting on the table. I'm going to change that approach. We're gonna embrace our life as an artist and try and make as much money as we can. You never know, this might be a living. At Passion to make distinctive paintings, at Mystique, we know how it works. What I was going to say about the glimmering is, of course, I always like to think of the extra glimmering as being the more you practice your craft, the better you get. But there's, I suppose, a few different ways that you can look at it. All right. Do I want to risk... I don't feel like I would wind up getting a histories off of it. Let's try. Well, that's why I don't go with my feelings always. Forbidden Epic. The attention of the hours is drawn to the bloodiest wards. Afterwards, the histories are braided like hair. There is a great chamber in the manses through which the painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them again with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. So, again, it takes us a little while to be able to build these things up. So it's worth remembering that right now, if you're ever lost in terms of what secret histories to use, it'll tell you. So this aspect in the land beyond the forest, so unresolved ambiguity. It actually says the Rending Mountains, whereas Forbidden Epic, land beyond the forest. So the idea here is we want to keep getting these so that we can turn them into unresolved ambiguities. And it's easier for me to go from Forbidden Epics than it is unresolved ambiguities, because obviously Forgotten Chronicles, I would need 4 of them to turn them into 1 unresolved ambiguity, and I just really don't want to go through the White Door that much. Anyways, let's deal with the fascination. That's going to be something we have to deal with sooner rather than later. I notice I've got this vitality up here, but I don't think I have any illness that I need to deal with, so I should be okay. Oh, I completely forgot my inspiration. I do want to keep this contentment around, because that will get rid of the dread, so... Excuse me. If I do a painting on my glimmering, I run into the potential problem of provoking moth. Let's draw something about my vitality. Treasures lie before... really sorry. We've already read that. The light of the lantern can only ever reveal the space between the forest shadows. Alright, an unmerciful mantra. We're okay there. On Matthias and Amethyst Imago, Pursuit, an account of an occult romance. A certain mech claims to have written this in a single night as part of his initiation into the Theban branch of the House of Leith, that order of immortals who use the arts of water to conceal themselves. Matthias defied us to hunt the names of the mouth of the wood to populate his pinned collection. The Amethyst Imago had dallied with the witch and sister, but she'd returned to the wood to plead the moth's pardon. The moth, as a whim or a penance, sent her out to lure the long to a slough of nightmares. Colors of the night we will spend. Alright, well, we knew this season of visions was coming, so we're not too worried about that. Despair abates. Memories of better times keep the wolf from the door. And we are now free of the dread, or the despair. Dread is still something that we can get, but it doesn't quite have the same bite that it used to. I feel like we have... No, okay, I was like, wait a minute, we don't have enough notoriety. It's because I picked it all up. So I want to get rid of this tentative evidence right away. If I'm going to be going on a path which says I don't care about my reputation, I want to make sure that I am doing everything I can to make my life easier there. All right, the standards of daylight society cannot apply to us, but perhaps we won't emphasize that point. Perhaps we'll rely on charm and good humor. This is work I can be proud of. With enough publicity, it will sell. All right. Let's see what we've got here. So the vitality was just a means to an end. We have our contentment, extra glimmering. Get the notoriety back. no staleness. Not as much money, though. But still more than we had when we went in. So in this case, I'm gonna make a painting about being just so happy all the time. After the circus, in the striped tent, coiling tetralogies behind smeared and murky glass. In the grey tent, a dripping fog that nuzzles us like a hunting cat, fog rank as an animal. In the black and starred tent, wonderful meshes of ori and sculpture, spangled with costume gems. In the red tent, the waxen priest in the glass coffin, and the books clasped to his chest. In the red tent, a madness of paper. The circus folk pasted diagram-crowned paper to every surface. The anatomies of time, the dissections of old weather. The place stinks of nowhere. We should burn it when we leave. A trestle table holds an unceremonious muddle of trophies and keepsakes. Alright, good work, Cat Caro. Good work, Erudition. I have no idea where that came from. Notoriety. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about this one. So the notoriety is no surprise, but I guess you get erudition because you saw smart people stuff in the circus. Okay, the hint I actually don't have much use for. It was a way for me to get rid of some... way for me to get rid of something that would generate fascination at an inconvenient time. So I've got a jumble, perhaps no surprise there. Writhing Call, so I believe that's a high-level grail. 12. Yep, lay your hands on these tattered folds and feel their warmth. Leave your hand upon it, and it will explore the possibilities of embrace. The Ivory Book, which makes... I feel like we've read that one before, but... A true and accurate history of the Shadowless King, Eyes of Kara's history of the Shadowless Empire. I should always read these when I'm actually ready to do them. Sunset Passages. Now, I suspect this is going to be a very high-level winter lore. I also think that it's going to be something that that drives me to foul moods. So I want to be careful there. The question before us is: do we want to keep trying on the expeditions? My answer to that is yes, so let's go to Tower Revik, the blasted stump of a building. The air festers. Whatever power destroyed this place still clings. Only one floor remains above ground, but we suspect more space below. So in this case, I'm going to take the expiring Callagine will be the one that does the work with the evidence. I want to sort of be able to disable that in a safe environment. Let's grab our funds. We have to search assiduously to find whatever treasures might remain. If the tower was truly destroyed in a battle between adepts, dangerous influences may still cling to it. So my guess here would be probably something lantern and then some kind of a curse, maybe something that will require heart, but we'll know as soon as we do the expedition. So the speculation is nice, and the game will give you little hints, but it's not... I don't find it too demanding to try and just go on the expedition and fill in the roles that you need after you've started. Okay, anything I want to do with Dream? I suppose I could try and go through the spider's door again. The problem is that I think we've already had the formula concursate for... Well, maybe we haven't, actually. There we go. Glass Garden, approaching the Peacock's door. The light of the divided sun penetrates my dream, but not enough to thaw the long-dead frost blossoms of the Glass Garden. Each step I take crushes another plant to powder. This is the way the brighter hours once came, but now it's silent here in the clouds. Should have maybe been paying closer attention to what lore I had, because obviously we're waiting to move up. I was actually willing to go through the spider door under certain circumstances, but we might just be bypassing it. Matthias loved the Imago. Did he? Can long love? Or has that organ of their soul desiccated beyond repair? The Imago loved Matthias. Did she? Or did she only enact a whim? He pursued her through the wood, but at last she turned aside from this nightmare slough, and they lay together where the bounds grow bright. So they learnt the Grail's pleasures, and this is the lore they won. Alright. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not I really want to... Now is not a bad time for me to try some of the scarier books, because I'm generating contentment with painting. I generally am able to sort of manage most of the things that I could potentially be facing. Now that can change, in exactly one turn. But we'll work with the tasks at hand. Let's start by having a chat with our Callagine. So not everything from the mantis can speak, but everything can understand mortal speech, even once it has passed the white door. We're going to get it to talk about the evidence, and we're at our time. So, what are the plans coming up? Well, I got a bunch of books to read, a little bit like in real life. Some of them are going to be duplicates, some of them are not. We've already learned that we can upgrade lore, so it's not necessarily bad that I have duplicates. I can also subvert them into different types of lore if I'm so inclined. For now, I've been avoiding that just because I personally find it easier to get new books and read them rather than just grinding out some upgrades. Having to study the lore to turn it into something higher is definitely more difficult than reading something new. So, again, personal preference, that's not necessarily an absolute rule in terms of playing Cultist Simulator. And once we get through the tower, we're going to have a really clear idea in terms of sort of what the research pipeline is going to look like. And at that point, I can also start thinking how I'm going to navigate that, as well as how I can most efficiently get rid of the notoriety, which obviously I'm hanging on to with my painting. But how I can get rid of it so that I can sort of restock my funds through working at Glover & Glover, while I get some new unresolved ambiguities, while I write up some works for my patrons, and essentially lay the groundwork for the last little batch of, maybe not last little batch, but for a batch of expeditions. There's certainly a lot of journeys that we still need to go on. So in addition to the unresolved ambiguity, we've got 2 more levels of secret histories to get stuff from. But it's better to just kind of keep some perspective in terms of what we're doing. I'm not going to prepare for I'm not going to prepare for sort of the final batch of expeditions when I have something a little bit easier to manage. But with all of that in mind, did I mess up? Nope, we're fine. I will thank you all for watching. If you do enjoy it, as always, do feel free to leave a like or a comment or a dislike if you didn't like it. I'm assuming if you didn't, you probably haven't read it, watched up to this point. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, do feel free to do so. There's, of course, notifications that you can get as well when I put up videos. But as always, I will be putting these up at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, Wednesdays and Fridays, unless, of course, technical problems get in the way. Thanks all for watching. I'll see you all on Friday.